Hi, Mercy. Good afternoon, Phyllis. So before we begin, allow me to just set some ground rules. Please mute yourselves and disable your videos in order to maximize audio-visual quality for everyone. And as usual, before I begin, before I pass on the presentation to Mercy, allow me to introduce her for the last time. Mercy is, sorry, my screen, I will need to minimize my screen. Yes, Mercy is the founder and CEO of Botlab, an award-winning firm that provides training in data science and cybersecurity. She's training in general data protection regulation at the University of Groningen in the Netherlands. She's also a certified IBM cloud professional and a graduate of the Data Science for Business Leader program at Data Incubator in Chicago. She has over 9 years of experience working in Kenya, the US, and has also managed Africa-wide projects. Mercy founded Botlab to increase the uptake of technology used in developing countries, advocate for data science as a growth tool, and to promote cybersecurity as a risk mitigation tool. To date, Botlab has trained over 5,000 professionals globally. So I really want to thank Mercy for having delivered the past 3 sessions with us. Very relevant and very engaging. And I believe all of us are very excited to go through this fourth and last webinar in your 4-part webinar series. And I encourage everyone to prepare questions to pose at the end. As we always benefit when it gets very lively, and we always try to contextualize what you've learned to your own experience. So with that, I will pass on the presentation to Mercy, and thank you so much once again.
Thank you, Edison. Thank you, Phyllis. Thank you, everyone who's joined this call today. So today we'll talk about running a multi-currency online shop and mastering payments, especially digital payments, and avoiding fraud, especially within the online marketplace. Maybe in the chat section, you could probably introduce yourself, tell us what you do, the name of your company, and where you're from. And then at the same time, I would also want to hear or read some of the challenges that you have experienced in running a multi-currency shop. So this means that you probably sell products online, and sometimes you think through or you encounter customers from outside your country who would like to buy things from you, but you don't know how to go about it. Or it could be that you run a particular service online, so you probably host events, and sometimes now you would want to incorporate global platforms and you're not sure how to go about it, especially when it comes to digital payments. I'll be keen to going through the presentation, what have we been able to achieve from the session? Maybe as I wait for you to type in, I can give an example. At the very beginning, during COVID-19, especially in Kenya, I remember a lot of people who were hosting webinars did not know what to do, especially when they had other participants who are interested in their topics, and some of them do not either have a vending online platform where people can buy the tickets from. Sometimes I will see some people asking, how is it that they can be able to buy, or how do they go about payment, and how will it get to their bank account, and how will you confirm that someone has bought the ticket. I remember as early as late as last week, I was still having a conversation with someone who was in Kenya, and she hosts digital webinars about investments. And she wanted to know how we've navigated paid webinars, especially having them online. So going through that process over and over, since we have done it before, it was very interesting for us to explain to her some of the things that we have seen, some of the things that we think she should incorporate, since we are nearly in the same space. And it was very eye-opening to her to understand, especially when it comes to certain things that maybe you have not thought about. So I'd love to see, or maybe even read about some of the challenges you've encountered when it comes to when it comes to running a multi-currency shop. I can see Eunice says she needs to serve customers out of Kenya who cannot pay by M-Pesa. I agree. For the ones who are not from Kenya, M-Pesa is a mobile money payment platform that we use our mobiles to pay. So we, instead of cards, we use phones. So you just go, you can have, you don't need an app, though they have an app for it, but they also have, uh, it's built on USSD, but it can, any feature phone can be able to allow payments, digital payments. So if I want something from where I live, I can actually pay for payment to a store in another part of the country, and through logistical partners, it can come to me without handling of cash. So it will be interesting to see what other challenges, if you've had a challenge before and you've been able to navigate through it, it will be also nice to read about it so that other people can be able to learn out of it. So let's dig in. So what are digital payments? They are payments in which the payer and the payee exchange funds digitally. And mobile payments is an example of digital payments. If you've done EFTs, if you've transferred using online banking, that is also digital payments, just an example of digital payments. If you have incorporated your Apple Pay to Apple Pay wallet or Google Pay wallet to your card, that is also a form of digital payments. If you've paid for adverts online for any social media platform, you have used digital payments, because Google does not accept cash, Facebook does not accept cash. You have to use a form of a digital payment. So it can be cards, it can be mobile money. There are many variances to digital or electronic payments. So traditionally, the customer journey for most people would be the customer discovers you. So this could be through word of mouth, radio, TV, and then they evaluate whether they want to buy from you. So this could be through your catalog, it could be through browsing your store, and then they buy, usually from a store which is face to face. And then a store would engage with a customer through either loyalty points or emails or print promotion. Like in certain developed countries, they still send hardcore catalogs to their customers. So if they find you particularly like children clothing, when they have a sale, they send you a catalog of whatever they have on sale or their new collection to your mailbox. Now that is changing. The current customer journey right now is you discover, and you discover usually 80% through digital. So this could be a mail that hits your mailbox, this could be a website, this could be word of mouth, this could be radio, TV, this could be an ad that you saw, and then you evaluate. Before we buy, I know this is the experience of nearly everyone. Before you buy anything, what happens? You go to their social media pages to read their reviews. You go online to see whether people have bought or said anything about their product. You actually browse through the other things that they have in the store. You also, if they have a group, some shops have like community groups. So you'll find like a shop that has kitchenware, having a group on Facebook to communicate what they have in stock, to answer any questions, and also for the people that they're selling to share what they're doing with their gadgets, and also to share recipes. So from this, a user can be able to evaluate, or a customer can be able to evaluate whether they should buy from you or not. Then when they have decided that they're going to buy from you, then they can use different channels to buy from you. So it could be a mobile app that you currently have, it could be an online marketplace, it could be instant messages, especially for those people who are on WhatsApp. It could be from your store, it could also be from your website. And then post buying support is through engagement. So you'll see different companies having different strategies to engage with you, so that they make sure that you still are in their loop 24/7. Yeah. So you're always in their loop, always, because when you see something, when you see that alert on email, you know there's new stock. When you see a notification on Facebook, you know that they have new stock. Or if you have certain preferences, then you can be able to dictate so that when you go to the site, it can showcase the different things that you would want to buy. Today, I was actually reading about how certain people are enjoying Amazon's Whole Foods online shop. It's for groceries. And one of the things that customers liked is if you're always eating the same things, meaning you're buying the same things over and over, all you have to do is go to the portal and choose that you just want whatever came to your shopping list last time to be delivered again. There is no searching, no nothing. For some, you'll find that they liked the sale experience, seeing all the vegetables that are on sale, helped them make savings because they were looking for sales, and according to them, it's actually cheaper to actually buy from them. And since they're intertwined with Amazon, it becomes very easy for it to be delivered because you're using the same platforms. They already know you, they already have a history. So that helps create and sustain the customer journey for most of your customers, especially when you're thinking about the online experience. So this slide came from a survey from financial payment platform, and one of the things that they said were key considerations for consumers, especially for those who sold their things online, for the ones who are in product. So product meaning you have a store. So it's free shipping. So 96% wanted free shipping or delivery. And this is for developing and developed countries. Um, some of them wanted discounts, some of them wanted cash. Can shop both in store and online. Some wanted price matching algorithms. Some people wanted same options in store to be the same that they can get online. Some people wanted short checkout online, buy online, and return in store, where you buy things online, and if they don't fit you or you don't like them anymore because maybe the material was not what you're looking for, you can drop it off to the store. And then 80% of them say that they would like it to be shipped to home if it's not in stock, and if there is a promise to have the shipment come through. And then 83% said same day delivery. Online said 80% said online order ahead to pick up. Then why is this important? It's important because when people pay, immediately you pay, there is an instant gratification that comes with it. And if you have not thought about the logistics after payment, it can really hurt the customer experience. For restaurants, as you can see, there's some people who want to view the menu online. There are people who want to tip and pay using card when they're ordering online. Some people want free delivery. Some people want to make reservations online. And then another thing is also to order food ahead, especially via web, especially if you do not want to wait if you're going to the restaurant, maybe to pick up your order. For the ones who are in services, most people want to use and tip using card. I mean, when you think about it, for most countries, um, there are two types. There are people who are pro card and there are people who are pro mobile payments. So depending on who your audience is, it's very, very important to make sure that even if you have 70%, 30% of card and mobile or inverse, that you cater to both. Because if you have already thought about the whole process and only payment is lacking, it is important that you think through even um, the smallest group of people who would be your customers. Like we said, it's very hard to attract customers. It's also harder to retain customers in our previous webinars. Another thing that I maybe want to give out as a statistic is that 73% of payments were made in person. This was before the pandemic. But since March, e-commerce sales have grown for about 49%. That was in March and April. So think about now, how many people have now gotten used to ordering groceries online? How many people have now become comfortable in buying clothes online? How many people have thought about buying their dream vacation online? How many people are now comfortable thinking through buying a particular service online? And that should be the targeted market that you should be thinking through. So if you are seeing a trend in your industry where people are thinking through digital payments, it is important that you start thinking about digital payments now. So why should you accept digital payments? You get more customers. I liked what um, I liked what I read here in the chat, where Eunice said she needs to serve customers out of Kenya. Why? Because the moment you expand your payment options and you are selling online, you actually increase your global customer base. Also, because of online presence, some people already are on social media. So payment is the last integrator or the last step for you to actually ship that product to that other country that you want to. Or also mobile payments and global reach, having a wider audience, so that instead of you focusing on the 4,000 customers that you have in your country or in your county or in your state, you now have a plethora of customers from around the globe who would be interested in your product. If you attended our last session, you remember that in the other session we talked about leads. So if you only have the 3% of customers who are interested in your product, how do you get to the 67% of reach that is out there and make sure that they actually pay you from wherever they are? And then also customer satisfaction. When people decide to buy and they make the payment there and then, it really helps not only for you, but also for them. It also reduces overhead costs. Think about it. If you have a store and it's really, really big, if you go online, you'll see slowly by slowly that your traffic will start shrinking. During this corona period, I've seen so many businesses globally shut down and start doing or sell their products from their houses. Why? Because once you start accepting digital payments and no one has to come to give you the cash, no one has to come to your office to swipe, it actually reduces some of your overhead costs. And recurring billing, this is especially for the ones who are in service industry, where people are always buying maybe a subscription, they're paying for a meal plan, they are paying for a coaching service. So every month you need to bill. So this is one of the things that some of these are some of the considerations that you would have to think about in Inverse about where or what platform you'd want to use. Going back to the chat, I can see Terry says she runs a cyber security and software company, and since she deals with corporates, not been much of an issue, just needed an USD account because of conversion rates. That's pretty good. And then there is Patricia, who also says her challenge is receiving payment from customers overseas and also not sure of the right payment solutions to implement for overseas customers as well. In our next slide, I think, we will talk about the considerations. Before I dig in, maybe to answer Patricia about overseas, you need to define who is overseas customers. You can use Google Analytics, maybe you have a good understanding of who your customers are and where they come from or who you're targeting, because that is very, very key in considering who you use to be your payment integrator or a merchant. And then USSD account, because of conversion rates, this is important. There are some people, as I will show you shortly, you will see that different companies offer different packages. So how do you make, sorry. So you choose an appropriate payment flow. So in your industry, what is important? In your industry, how does that payment look like? For some, it's about going online, you make the payment, and you can integrate it with Instagram Shop, and that's it. For some, it's about you want to integrate with your website. So you want to make sure that the payment flow is well thought out so that someone does not get frustrated as they key in their details. Then the other thing is making sure that your customers feel safe and secure, meaning that you use brands that they know. They feel that the security of your payment integrator gives them the confidence for them to be able to actually make the payment. Because most people, when they're giving you their their card details, they're very much on the fence. So they want to be sure that you have put mechanisms in place that allow them to actually do this. I remember during the pandemic, I actually wrote to a vendor who was asking people to make payments on their site, and the site did not even have an SSL certificate. I mean, already if I was a client and I needed to make payment using my card, I would not feel secure because, I mean, already the browser is telling me not secure. So why would I want to give you my card details? Another thing to think about is fees. Consider transaction fees. There are different types of fees. There are transaction fees, there are minimal fees, there are different variations of fees that different platforms charge. And also service agreement requirements on their part. What are those things that they require from you and how does that look like? And then ensuring effective transactions. Effective meaning that when you put in or when a customer decides to pay you for the service, it does not have a never ending loop that does not go through, meaning that their platform is stable. And if you decide to make payment, you can always, if I decide to make payment as a customer, I can always get it, the transaction completed in real time. And the merchant on the other side, which is you as a business owner, getting a notification on the same. Making sure that checkout is easy on all devices. This is very, very important because some payment gateways are pro different devices. So you'll see those people who are in the mobile money countries where it's really explosive. Most of them are pro devices. So if you are customers, you have a big chunk of customers outside that demographic, then it becomes a challenge for you to collect payment from them. Then multiple features to choose from. I'll actually show you just a little bit about some of the features that maybe you've not thought about, or you will probably want to incorporate them based on your business. Then the other is the integration process. Some people, 7 maybe 5 years ago, integration was such a big hurdle, but right now most businesses have really made the integration bit to be very easy, especially if it's online. Then recurring billing. Recurring billing, like I said, is for those people who offer services, like subscription boxes if it's product, or if it's coaching where people are paying you on a cycle, so it's weekly, daily, or monthly, and you do not want to be sending invoices yourself. So you want it to create a loop that can be sending the invoice and also maybe deducting straight from the card. Then the other thing is mobile payments. And I think I stepped merchant account, meaning that you as a merchant, you have access to your account and you can see your reports and you can see your money, because usually some of them have a merchant account where you transfer the money from directly to your account that is a resident of your own country. So it's like a holding place. And then the other thing is 24/7 customer support, meaning that if you have issues, since you are an online business, online meaning that customers can buy from you at any time, that in case there's any issue and you're escalating, you do not have to wait for hours on end so that you can get customer support. Maybe I can give an example about customer support and why it's important. I remember maybe 6 years ago, we used to work with a company based in the US. And I remember we were integrating certain things together. It was maybe like a year-long project. And one of the key things that was very hard was customer support, because when we are waking up and customers have issues 8 in the morning, they are dead asleep. So customers have to wait 8+ hours, and it's during the day for them to be able to actually get that support. It can be very frustrating. So making sure that whatever vendor you choose has 24/7 support is very crucial to the sustainability and business continuity of your business. I'll exit this. I just want to show you something here. Yeah. So this is Stripe. Stripe is a payments platform, and it's usually mostly for the developing countries. So if your demographic is based in the States, then this would be a very good platform for you to integrate with, because it's known by most of them, by most of the vendors, and they have really thought through some of the issues around payments. So if you click on features, you can see these are some of the things that they provide depending on the account and depending on the features that you select when you're setting up. So you can see under acceptance, accepting meaning that they accept payments. You can see they do in-person payments, they have payment options by card, by wallet, by transfers, and they also have mobile. So they can do mobile web, they can do also SDK pushes, which are for mobile. And then you can see process. So process, you can see it's usually use cases for online payments if you are pro only online. Omni-channel, meaning you have multiple channels with which that you accept payments on, and recurring payments at the same time, meaning you have different customers who are members, so they're always paying you. And then platform and marketplace payments, depending on whether your business is probably on like WooCommerce or on Instagram Shop. This helps you receive payment from some of these platforms. And then of course there are other uh, services and features. As you can see, you can accept payments depending on the different interfaces that they provide. You can even see uh, invoicing. They also provide invoicing. If you look at payments, they tell you about cards. They tell you the different cards that they accept. They also tell you about wallets and the different wallets that they have integrated to. They tell you about bank debits and transfers and how that looks like as well, and many more, and many more. And also they tell you some of the countries that they are currently supporting, especially when it comes to foreign exchange and cross-border fees for customers. And they show you, you can see here the countries that they are currently supporting. So when it comes to mobile, they also give you different details about mobile. You remember how we talked about mobile being not mobile, but the gadget that your customers use is very, very important. And then processing payment. So for some, you just need online payments. So they also tell you some of the features that have and what are the advantages and what are the key things that they have for that particular platform. And you can see omni-channel. They also tell you about subscription. They tell you about the integrations that they currently have. You can see recurring payments. You can see platform and marketplace payments. And then revenue optimization. These are just so many services that they currently provide. Of course, they also talk about fraud, and we will just dig in a little bit into this session about fraud. So you can see they're telling you about how they prevent or how they fight fraud if you use their platform. So when you're going through this, have a good understanding of what is important to you and what is important to your business, and how do your customers reach you and what platforms are important, so that you do not have a miss in how you want to collect your payments. And can you have multiple payment platforms? Yes, you can, depending on your channels. If it's website, I think you can only integrate with one. If it's social media, you can integrate with another. If you are on mobile money, that's also another one. But at the same time, think through the back-end reconciliation that comes with having multiple channels. And they also have reportings, especially on the merchant side as a business owner. Now, going to here. So this is Flutterwave. Flutterwave, on the other hand, they tell you what they do. So they tell you, you can see Stripe is certainly pro card and pro online payments. On the other hand, Flutterwave is pro mobile and card. As you can see, they do online for both website and mobile. They also have point of sale. So if you want to get, if you have a store and you want people to swipe, you can actually get one from them. But at the same time, you can see some of the payment methods that they support. They also tell you how you can be able to issue cards and create new businesses for yourself. And this could be cards maybe for your team. Maybe you want a fueling card if you're a contractor. Maybe you want a petty cash card instead of the petty cash receipts. And then they also tell you about some of the security features that they currently have in place. And you can see the certifications that they have in place, and they tell you about their customers. Then we have another one called Jumbo Pay. Jumbo Pay also tells you more about the services and the payment platforms that they currently have. Why is this important? All of them are from different regions, different countries, talking about different services. It is important to understand the jurisdiction that comes with mobile payments and the efficiency, because you could be in Kenya, but your country is not supported. Your business could be registered in Bangladesh, but you are serving the American market, and Stripe will tell you that maybe they do not serve your current market. So you have to go back to the drawing board to see, because you remember we said 24 hours support. If they do not support your region, it means that there are legal restrictions that come with that. So going back to the presentation. So things to think about when you, apart from the considerations, these are some of the things that you need to think about before you choose on any product, as we have seen. The rates of rewards, business and international cards, especially they are different from transaction fees. And then minimum limit and annual fees. Some platforms charge a minimum limit of transactions. So you must have a specific threshold of the number of transactions. They look at volumes of transactions as compared to number of transactions, because it's more in monetary terms. Some of them have annual fees, some of them have transaction fees, and a combination of different fees. As described under transaction fees. Some of them will charge you to convert the money, some of them will not charge you. Some of them will charge you to make that transaction possible, some of them will only charge, they will not charge you because they have earned revenue from the foreign exchange that comes with changing the money. Chargebacks are usually when you have customers who want a refund. So you'll always find that if you have a lot of chargebacks, then some platforms allow you to refund money for free. Some of them are retain a certain percentage of the transaction fee as chargeback. So this is also something that you need to think about, because it will affect your liquidity in the business. Then PCI compliance is just one of the standards. There are many standards depending on the region that you're serving and the region that you're in. Also remember, as you think about the compliance, think about, I remember we've had session about data protection before. So payment gives a lot of information about a customer. It will tell about it will tell specific details about this customer and have access to some of the things that they have bought before. So making sure that you are compliant to the legal frameworks of payments, and making sure that whoever you integrate or whoever you want to work with also has hand in hand compliance of what is important to you and your industry and your business. Also, types of payment methods accepted. As you have seen, between Flutterwave and Stripe, they gave highlights of the type of payments they accepted and specifically who. So if they said card payments, they actually showed logos of the companies that they currently have working relationships with. If they said mobile payments, they currently have a list of companies that they have indicated that they are currently working with. Making sure that this is in line with what your business wants is very, very critical, because you could have integrated, but then you find out that what you have integrated with is not what they accept. So it's very, very, very important. Also, to add, last week, Stripe bought Paystack. Paystack is a Nigerian-based payment platform that strived to be the Stripe of Africa, and they were bought for 200 million. So it's also worth your time to make sure that you also check them out. There are probably over 50 payment gateways in over 100, actually, over 100 payment gateways all over the world. So it's important that you check all this and make sure that whichever you decide to embark on is in line with your business. Also, the platform that you want to integrate. There's some that have already been given access to Instagram, for example, Instagram Shop or WhatsApp for Business. Making sure that the payment gateway you want is integrated to that is very key, because it saves you the hassle of doing the integration yourself, because not all platforms give you the right to integrate on your own. And then fraud protection, making sure that the payment gateway you subscribe on has different mechanisms to cater on fraud protection. So that's about it, about thinking about choosing the right gateway. There is no right or wrong. There are different payment aggregators, different payment gateways that serve different they serve different markets and different industries. Some of them are pro different industries, some of them are not pro, they are just global and for anyone. I would say thinking through that payment with the considerations that we have put in mind are very, very key, because they can really be one of the things that break your customer buyer journey. A transaction is not a transaction until you receive your money. We've all heard of incidences where someone tried to pay online and the transaction did not reflect on the merchant side. So there's so many cases out here. So going into payment fraud can happen in many ways. So it can be through you are robbed off of merchandise, where someone says, especially on e-commerce platforms, that they will pay upon delivery. But upon delivery, they actually do not pay. That one is very, very common, especially in different markets that allow customers to pay on delivery. Or the logistical company loses in quotes your product as it was in transit, depending on who. It could be a rider, it could be a logistical partner that has trucks, and there is no way of getting a refund back, and your customer is already frustrated by the experience. Then the other thing is unauthorized online payment transactions. From the same payment gateways, you'll find some that have merchant accounts allow you to make payments. And when they do allow you to make payments, sometimes you'll find when someone has access to your dashboard, then they can make unauthorized payment transactions to different people. And then false demands for a refund or bounced checks. These are very, very prominent, and even redeeming of gift vouchers that are non-existent. So there are different types of fraud, especially when it comes to payment. There is identity theft. This is where someone steals a card from someone. Maybe they were carjacked, maybe they were robbed, and they stole the cards, and they actually buy from your platform. There's some where it's phishing. They send an email to someone, and it could be you, and you actually put in your payment details, and you get duped. Then it could be advanced wire and fee transfer scams. These are very, very prominent, especially online. Merchant identity fraud, where people say that this is, for example, this is Jumia, and you can see legitimately this is Jumia, but they in the wording they really change the details. I remember, like, during when the pandemic started, there were so many businesses that decided to write, or rather to give customer support, financial support. And there was one that really tricked so many people, because the bulletin looked like a World Bank bulletin. It was based on a bulletin that on the World Bank website, but the World Bank had not released the mechanisms of how. But someone pitched that, created that website, and asked people to give their details, to give bank details, and then they will get remittances to them. It scammed a lot of people, but it had really died down, and people, even the tech community, I remember people went online, they saw that the website had been registered a week before, but even the URL was similar, extremely similar to the World Bank one. It was well thought out social engineering. And then page jacking is where, at the point of payment, someone hijacks that. So this is the page with which someone is buying from. If they move from this, they come to this page where they make payment. From this payment where they make payment, they check out. So in between the three pages, you'll find there are some people who page jack. So at the point of making your order and making the transaction, they actually redirect you to another page where you make the payment. But then the business thinks that you think you've made the payment to a legitimate business, but at the point of the transaction, you are actually page jacked. I want to show you something before we go to the quick facts. Here's one way you can always find out about scams, and also what is happening in your industry or whatever platform you're using. So so one way of making sure before even you see something, is to look for, remember how we said about communities, is looking for reviews and forums where people are talking about certain things. So one Google search hack is to write, for example, Stripe scam forums. So I wrote that, and this page came on board, and you can see this was reported 2 years ago, where people were talking about scammers are hitting Stripe, be careful. And they would give a lot of details about, I can just read it out if you'll allow me. Says, one of my e-commerce got several high-priced orders, all well and good. A week later, all of the customers do a chargeback and claim fraud. Customer places order, tells Stripe or the bank, I haven't ordered this. Stripe refunds customer and charges an extra $25 fee. In the end, the customer got the product, the money back, and I lost the product price and an extra $25 for each scam order. I lost $600 that week. Even when selling improved, like invoices, shipping, and everything else, they rejected my claim. Support don't have a phone, only an email they don't like to respond on. Let me go back. Oops. So what am I saying? I'm saying that check certain trends from forums, check certain things online, because there are certain scammers who are always looking for, who are always targeting new businesses, who are always targeting certain trends. So you can see there's usually, you see, remember some of the considerations we talked about, a chargeback fee. This comes especially if you accept fraudulent claims, or if they think your business is accepting or is in bed with people who sell or buy using credit card or debit card that have been stolen, or details that have been stolen online. I'll give you an example. Uh, right now in Africa, there is an increase of businesses that are scamming unsuspecting people. How do they do this? So they collect um, debit cards mostly, and credit cards, which are not very common, and then they go to a shop, for example, like your shop, and then they tell you for every transaction that they swipe a card, they will give you a certain amount of money without you selling anything. So it's literally to you free money. And I've seen there's an increase of blacklisting of businesses because of enabling this kind of fraud. So, on the other hand, online, you will find that there are some businesses that allow people to do this. And sometimes you don't even have to allow them, they just do it and then they monitor what you do. So, it is paramount that when you decide to do digital or go online to accept payments, that you also think about how that you become vigilant. Think about a lot of research. Think about how do you make sure that you get, how do you make sure that you are not duped? You know how, depending on the country you're from, you know scams. Some on the street, if you see someone falling down, they think that one is a scam. Also online, there are certain trends and patterns. So going to the forums to read about them helps you spot one very quickly. So here's some quick facts about fraud. 77% of the population have been victims of fraud. This is digital fraud. And then 33% have counterfeit credit cards, meaning they have fake cards that different people use algorithms to generate. 29% use card skimming techniques. So do this and think about your numbers. What will 29% look for your business? Sometimes it's employee instigated fraud. So that accounts for around 36%. And then chargeback. You remember that example we are just from reading about? It has a percentage of 36%. And the more businesses accept digital payments, the higher the chargeback fraud claims also go higher. It's fraud should not be the thing that makes you not want to do or embrace digital payments, because think about it, even when you're handling cash, you could be robbed or you could lose your money. You could actually just have them in a pouch and the pouch drops. So they're nearly the same challenges, only that now it's on a digital platform. And then also the return fraud, especially when people are returning items. And then the gift card fraud, where they give gift cards that are non-existent to your business. Or when you give out vouchers, some people try to see if there's an algorithm that has been used to generate those cards, and then they end up giving them out. So using the different techniques and going to forums, you will always find user generated content of people who are like you, who are owning businesses and they are reporting, or they are also in limbo, and other people coming back to also give um, comments on how to do it differently, or how to embrace, or how to maybe overcome a particular challenge that is currently happening at this particular moment, since the fraud patterns usually are nearly the same, only that they come from different places. So how do you prevent fraud? Like I was saying, you need to read about the latest trends on online fraud, making sure that sometimes you are in the right groups on Facebook, on websites, where you can be able to read and see what is happening, so that when it comes to you, you can easily spot it. And also working with a verified payment processor or aggregator, meaning that they will also be on the know about what is happening and put mechanisms in place so that you're also not hit as a business. And also changing your login and token credentials, meaning that you keep changing them. You see how most people have never changed their PIN for their bank or for your mobile money card. It is important, especially if you have high volumes, that at the same rate you keep changing your merchant account password and not using maybe public Wi-Fi to access, because sometimes someone could be listening through the network to gather that information from you. Then the other thing is having strict policies for accessing crucial and sensitive information. This is very important because I remember 5 years ago there was a case of a porn site where someone hacked it and they uploaded, I think it was 10,000 user profiles of their names, their addresses, their mobile numbers, where they used to watch porn from, and their bank details. So this was uploaded in files in the dark web, and it really brought a lot of marriages and families in limbo. Also, a lot of employers now are also in limbo because they could see some of their customers. And right now, there's a lot of legal frameworks to protect this from happening, so that in case your business is hacked and something like that happens, your business will have to pay depending on the legal jurisdictions that encompass your industry, the country you're operating from. And some of these have been talked about in the previous webinars that SheTrades has set up before. Then the other thing is emails and transactions with confidential information need to be encrypted. And another thing is to look for other mechanisms of making sure that the emails where there is a lot of customer interactions and verification, that it is not accessible to everyone. You remember what we talked about, employees sometimes being at the center of the fraud? This can actually happen. Sometimes it's the hurry of completing that transaction and realizing that it was a phishing incident. So what next for your business? So how do you evaluate? So things to think about are review your current state as a business. You see how different people said that, if I can go back to the chat, Eunice said that she's keen on serving customers out of Kenya. I remember seeing Patricia talking about knowing the right payment solutions to implement for overseas customers. It's accessing and assessing your payments, your current states. What are your pain points in existing payment processes? Is it that you have slow settlement? Is it that you have no digital or credit card based processes? Is it cash flow issues? Is it no customer incentivization? Is thinking about the current state of your business and mapping out what are the defined outcomes and criteria. So, for example, if it's a tax issue, you want to be able to give records to your tax authority in your country, then record keeping could be something that you want to make sure that you streamline because it's a pain point to you. At the same time, it's sometimes that you are overwhelmed with orders, that sometimes sending the repetitive invoices is becoming a challenge, that you forget some customers. So this could be some of the pain points that you currently have, and assessing them and making them to be outcomes of part of the criteria that you'll be looking for when you are looking for a platform that would work for you. And then identifying solution options. So this means you look at the business requirements of yourself and also on the other side, and also seeing, these are my outcomes, this is what I'm looking for. And it helps you being very objective when you're looking for a payment processor. Why? Because there's some that you will kick out of the process because they do not feel some of the key things that are important to you. And you can actually define them in such a way that you have, this is tier one, this is compulsory. If it does not have this, then to me, I'm not able to go further. And then maybe if you find five, then you can probably maybe have a step two, where you actually now see, I have identified these three. How do I make sure that I choose one out of the three that I have identified? Then you also evaluate the options that you have seen based on your requirements. Always start with your requirements. If you start on the other side, where you look at the payment processes, you might get confused and might be influenced to pick on someone who might not end up meeting the requirements of your business. And also, developing a business case for yourself, that you remember there are so many hidden fees that are usually there that are sometimes not on the first page. You can go to the forum so that you read what are users experiences. You'll always find that some people who have multiple tiered fees as part of the proposition. If that is works for you, if you feel the amount of money you're charging can be able to cater for all those costs, then well and good. For some, it is not possible for them to add on so many things. They would have to revive their online costs, and the business proposition that they're giving to their customers. Then the last thing is to select a provider, which is very important. So from the session where you have seen, you have five options, you have evaluated, you've also seen the financial fees and the policies that they currently have and any security measures that they have put in place. Then you can be able to select a provider and see whether do you want to integrate it with your website. Do you want, and some of them, if you want to integrate with their website, they have specific lists of requirements. So making sure that also your website is a path, if that is the path you want to use, and which also goes to the assessing the current state. If you are a social media vendor, it is also going back to see what are those e-commerce platforms that that would allow me to sell online using these platforms. There are also service-based vendors who can help your business register in that resident company so that you can be allowed to collect payment if that is your demographic, if that is your audience. So I could be here in Kenya selling African beads and selling them to America. So since I want that to, since I want to ease in that process on my end, and I want to be able to sell on Instagram Shop. There are certain companies online that can help you with registering a company on that other side, so that in case, because these companies that do payment aggregators, especially for the first world, require legal paperwork. It is also making sure that you have the legal paperwork so that they can accept your payments if that is the path you want to go. But you see, at the end of the day, it starts with assessing your current state and identifying, why do you need this digital payment platform? As I part ways, as we come to the close of this session, here are some of the things that maybe you could think about. These are highlights, these are projected stats from various companies that do research regarding digital payments. So you can see the value of the value of transaction, the transaction value of digital payments was projected to be, as you can see, 4 million US dollars. I'm sure this has now been surpassed based on the pandemic, because they had not envisioned the pandemic. And then you can see the total transaction value, an annual growth rate of 13.4%. with a projected amount of around $8 million by 2024. And you can see also when it comes to the digital commerce, the transaction value of the market's largest segment is around $2 million. And this could be more. Why are these stats important? They are important to tell you that it's not a matter of when you need to start accepting payments. It's not about when, it's about now. Because the moment you start accepting digital payments, you start realizing that your customers you could be restricting your customers by your borders. So enabling the world to receive your goods and services is paramount for you to be able to grow. Because when you think about these transaction values, I mean, think about it this way. 5 years ago, actually 7 years ago, I bought something from Amazon and it was so cumbersome for it to come to Kenya. Right now, I can actually buy something from the state and it will take a week to come to my house. What does that tell? It tells you about the way business is evolving. So if this is 2020, think about 2021, think about 2022, where people will have accepted buying things online. Even the smallest of the things, even the biggest of the things that they currently think of or they are looking for. So it's not a matter of when for your business, it's a matter of now. And how do you make sure that you put into consideration some of the things that we have discussed about? So thank you.
Hi, thank you so much, Mercy, for a great presentation once again. I would invite everyone to pose any questions you may have and to also complete the poll as it pops up on your screen. Do we have any questions? So we have about 13 people more. Okay. Couple more people. Any questions from the floor? It could be from this session, or if you would like to, you could direct them at a previous content which has been discussed by Mercy. Okay, Mini says thank you. What about from anyone else? Doris, Eunice, Damilola, Terry, or Patricia? Okay, Lorna asks, is it safer to use online payment platforms like PayPal?
It is, but safe is relative. Every platform has its own downsides. Every platform has different benefits that they currently have. I have seen, like in Kenya, a lot of people are using PayPal, especially for individual payments. I have seen in the US, a lot of businesses accept PayPal, but they really complain about when you are unsatisfied with a particular service. But at the same time, it protects the same thing you're complaining about is an advantage to the customer. So like I said, you have to go back to the use case to understand what is important to you, what is important to the customer. That way, whichever platform you use, because every platform is created with a specific user in mind, making sure that you are the user of that platform is very, very critical. Even Zoom has, if you want to host a paid session like events, most people are using Zoom because Zoom now comes with an integration with PayPal. So I can't say it's safe. I can only say that it's safe depending on how you gauge it. All of them are safe, but also at the same time, there is no platform that is 100% safe.
Thank you so much, Mercy. That's very useful to know. Patricia has a question. Do payment gateways provide sufficient security, or do you need to put or implement extra security aside from SSL?
Definitely. Like if you look at the Stripe website, they tell you about how they're using machine learning to identify fraud patterns. They also tell you about some of the data science teams and how they're using different technologies to be able to spot and flag different um, fraudulent things that are happening behind the scenes. So looking through, you need to identify what is important. Also, there are some security levels that are pegged to standards. You remember, like the PCI compliance, there are some that are pegged for you to become standard, for you to be accredited to that standard, you need to have put certain things in place. So looking for some of these things is extremely important because it helps you identify who has gone the extra mile in making sure that whatever they are selling as a gateway also protects your business, because at the end of the day, their protection should be 99%, yours should be around 1%, because they are the ones who are giving you the platform with which you transact through.
Thank you once again, Mercy. I would like to invite questions also from outside of Kenya. So, Damilola, what is the situation maybe in Nigeria, if you could share with everyone? Do you find this completely relevant to your situation in Nigeria, or are there other payment gateways that are more applicable, or something you could share from outside of Kenya? Allow everyone to unmute themselves. Apologies. I've done that now. If you'd like to speak, please feel free to unmute yourself and share with everyone or post a question.
Okay, hi everyone. This is Dami from Nigeria. So as regards payment gateways in Nigeria, Paystack definitely is, one of the number one payment gateways most of the businesses like to use. We also, as regards, and because they also collect international payments, it's just that the setup is a bit different. You also have to request that you can collect international payments as well. So most businesses do use Paystack. The good thing is also that for us, a lot of our banks can also collect international payments as well, as long as you have a dollar account with the bank, or as long as you've set it up with your bank. So most of their payment gateways also allow us to collect international payments as well. But we've noticed that locally, people will rather just, send you a bank transfer. But internationally, of course, that works. We've also noticed that PayPal is not something we can use. We have quite a number of restrictions in Nigeria. So it's not favorable for us. So people navigate towards, Paystack. And so I think as regards international payments, that's basically it. The only limitation we do have with Paystack is that, like, the speaker earlier said, it's not recognized in all countries. So there are some places where we still have challenges with collecting that payment. So I hope that was helpful. But that's, what's happening currently as regards Nigeria.
Thank you so much, Dami. It's very useful to know. Do we have any more questions, or if you'd like to share anything from your own experience in your own country or company, please feel free to unmute yourself and share. I think everyone gets better by learning more from outside their own countries. Okay, I don't see any further questions. We've completed the poll as well. I must thank Mercy you for delivering 4 great sessions on generating sales, achieving customer centricity, increasing visibility, and today on online payments. I think everyone has taken home something that they could definitely apply to their businesses. As a follow-up, we will be sending you a request to complete an evaluation for the 4-part webinar series. So I really would appreciate if everyone completes that. It's a very short evaluation form, which all of you are not unfamiliar with. All right, we have another question. Miss Lorna, Is it possible to know why platforms like PayPal delay with remitting cash to Africans? Mercy, do you have an answer to that?
Maybe to answer, I will not peg it to PayPal. I'll give you a personal experience. I was receiving payments from Ivory Coast, and they did not know how to do mobile money remit. They did not know how to do bank-to-bank transfers. So what they ended up doing is that they requested us to go pick the money from Western Union. We went to several banks in Kenya and they refused to honor because they said they flagged the transaction. They said that a lot of transactions coming from certain countries could be fraudulent. So they needed additional paperwork. We were 5 of us. So what we decided to do is that we all go to different, and this was during the pandemic. So we all go to different banks, especially the tier 1 banks, and see which ones would actually honor. And I went to a local bank here. After going for like 3 of them, they all refused to honor it. We went to one of the biggest ones where one of my colleagues called all of us to tell us to go to that one because apparently they could see it in the system and they could honor the transaction. So what am I saying? Sometimes because of the patterns that they see, they end up flagging off different volumes in transactions or having, maybe sometimes it's not you as a recipient, sometimes it's either the person who is sending or certain variances of where the money is going to. And sometimes it could even be jurisdiction, that the legal framework requires a lot of checks and balances. And sometimes you'll see, like, I wanted to buy a certain dress from a Nigerian vendor, and she said that I needed to send either using Western Union or World Remit. When I Googled and downloaded World Remit would only allow me to receive money, but not to send money. So I had to look for a Kenyan who is in Nigeria. I send them money through M-Pesa for them to actually ship the dress to me. So the delays are usually based on legal frameworks and also sometimes patterns. And the thing that security would actually flag off, sometimes it's not something that it should trigger a security delay. So the delays are usually based on several other factors that are per the region or per the legal frameworks of that country, and also per the transaction, not only to Africans. If you look at some of the small business groups on Facebook, you'll actually realize it's actually a very big thing when it comes to remitting, especially when it comes to PayPal, because PayPal gives the person paying a lot of power that they can even reverse back the money. So I've seen that happening a lot, especially in different continents, not only in Africa. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mercy. Do we have any final questions? We do have a few more minutes for questions or any insights that participants would like to share. What is the best way to send money to the US? Asks Waku.
I would say bank to bank transfer, but agree on a rate. What I do sometimes is I negotiate rates. So I'll call the bank and I will tell them that I want to send money. If it's from maybe Kenyan money to US dollars, I call the bank, I tell them that I want to transfer money and I'm negotiating for rates. I want better rates. Usually they give you better rates. They're flexible because at the end of the day, they'll still get money out of that transaction. So I have seen that, especially even coming this way, especially if they're large chunks and you know the person, it's okay to give your bank details. If you do not know the person, do not give out your bank details, because sometimes it could be a phishing attempt that they can use to siphon money out of your account.
Thank you, Mercy. Laura has a remark. For me, it was already delivered to the US. I think that's what she said. They had received it. I was lucky the client was patient enough to reassure that PayPal was good. So Waku says thank you. Do we have any more comments or questions? Please keep them coming before we end the session. We have about 5 more minutes to Q&A.
Maybe a question to the audience will be, what stood out for you? What stood out for you during this session?
Thank you, Mercy. Please feel free to unmute yourselves, participants, to share. Might be more, it's more engaging also. Does anyone have any inputs on what do you find particularly captivating about today's session? What is something that you learned or that you'll take home with you to apply? Okay, so I think we could maybe end the session if we do not have any more inputs from everyone. I thank you, Mercy. Thank you so much for agreeing to support us, SheTrades. And thank you for delivering 4 great webinar sessions. And I thank you all participants for the questions and for joining us in the past 4 or 3 sessions. And I hope to see you soon for other engagements, other SheTrades Commonwealth. Thank you, everyone. And I wish you all the best in the coming weeks and months, and stay safe.
Thank you, Edison. And I hope everyone gets to integrate with a payment platform.
Thanks, Edison. Thanks, Mercy. Kwaherini, everyone. Bye.